There are a few things that I'm not crazy about the way I've painted or the way I've outlined this door, but that's okay. We'll work on that as we continue to wash things in. I thought I'd stick in a little bit of a tree trunk standing here, or a stump, and maybe something about that thickness. That might be a bit much. But we'll go with it for the moment. You know those little knots, those bumps on a trunk where it started to sprout a little branch and then didn't quite make it, so you end up with sort of a knot hole, or it's older and these branches have broken off. I'm really kind of flailing in the dark here a little bit. But you know, I could sit and look at this thing and never jump into it, and I'd never get anything done. So I decided just to start. Just paint. I mean, it is just a wash-in, so it's no major commitment here. Boy, that looks kind of funny. It's okay. Funny is okay. I can change it if I want to. Well, I've got a bunch of ultramarine blue and raw umber on my palette. It's getting a bit of a skin on it, so I better use it up. Yes, they're in individual piles, but I just mix them as I need them. But yeah, ultramarine blue gets the skin on it pretty quickly, and raw umber as well. Of the paints that I typically use, raw umber by far seems to be the quickest to skin over. Okay, I know the bottom of this tree will be dark because it's deciduous, and even if they're dark all the way up, even if they're not, even if they're poplars, the bottom is always a little darker than everywhere else. Where it enters the ground anyway. Okay, that's pretty meaty. That's pretty foregroundish. Let's put something there. Um, yeah, I'd say we may as well have some. A little bit of foliage hanging around the foreground here. I know, it's pretty rough looking. It's okay. Fear not, it will change. As the painting develops, it gets refined, it matures. I don't know if I want to put too many trunks in here like this just yet. Let's see. Let's pretend that little rise that this is on comes across here, and let's say there's another less important trunk around here. Yeah, that paint's gray. It's still wet. As you can see, the paint is not sitting on top. It's just getting pushed right through the paint that I'm putting on right now. Now, I don't know, do I want... Should that just go straight through, straight up? I'm not using a very good brush for washing it either. This thing is so splayed. I can't make any accurate marks. I might just throw it out too after. It's too small to stain anything with, so and it's too splayed out to do any accurate lines. So I might just get rid of it in a minute here. Just a little bit of indication of some bush maybe behind here. Some trunks, bits of trunk showing through, a little bit here and there. I don't know. That's. I'm just randomly playing around here. Probably not the best idea. But okay. All right. All right. Let me just step back here and have a look. I might already have enough information on here, or maybe not. Let's raise this one notch so that I'm not looking down at too sharp an angle. All right, I guess I should make up my mind about light. I suppose we'll have it could have it coming from the right, I guess. Catching the front of this. Bits of the door on this side of the shed's a little, or this side of the outhouse is a little darker. In which case we'll put a shadow. Bit of a shadow line across there. And of course there would be also no, that's coming towards me. I don't want that. You know, there would also possibly be some shadow or hints of shadow laying on the ground here. I don't want to do too much of that in the foreground because you easily end up with a very spooky Halloweenish looking painting. So let's not get too crazy about that. No, I'm still not sure. I could just have the light coming sort of from above and behind us a little bit too. Yeah, you know, I'm holding off on where that light's coming from. We'll just wait and see. All right, let's drop this down again. Ugh. That's about right for you to see. Okay. Let's mix some yellow ochre. Alizarin crimson. Bit of cobalt blue. Some white. A little more cobalt blue. I'm going to try to go with some reasonably soft mauves in the background here. Now, don't forget, this is just the wash in. I'm going to be knocking the values up a little bit. As the painting gets washed in. And the paint that I'm putting on is, of course, mixing in with the still quite moist Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray, maybe it's aptly named. I know that people do use it quite successfully. There's some people who quite like it, and that's fine. It's a matter of taste. Sure isn't very dramatic right now, is it? Oh well. The drama will come. Okay, now some bush in the background. We're just going to go more cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. I better put some alizarin crimson on my palette. You can't work with paint that isn't there. Where are we here? Okay. Thought I had a little more kicking around, but I guess not. Okay, that'll do. I'm going to be needing some cobalt blue here pretty soon too. So why don't I just put some on right now? Okay. So I'm using the same colors. I'm just eliminating the yellow ochre now. Going more towards our purpley stuff. Cobalt blue, alizarin crimson. And a bit of white. I'm taking a moment to add more of the darker pigments right now because I started out a little bit too light. And I guess the beauty of it is, whether I paint this, whether I do the actual in-painting with a brush or with a knife, once we have our wash in, there's that much less guesswork involved. Because we have lots of reference on the canvas. And apparently lots of junk in our paint. Actually, let's not bring that purple right down to the ground. Let's indicate a bit of ground showing on the other side too. Maybe we'll see a bit of snow sitting over there. And actually, laying this mixture on now that I'm putting on now will make the it will act with the Payne's gray that's underneath it, and it'll speed up the general drying of the wash in as well. So there's another benefit to putting a wash over a wash. I know you might say I wasted a bit of time by doing that initial wash. Maybe, it's okay. Oil painting isn't really all about the most efficient use of time, is it? Even the brush that I'm using now is still, it's pretty, it doesn't have good edges. It's not good for cutting in good shapes, but it's okay for just laying some color on here and there. It'll give us a general feel, right? Okay, let's add a little bit of raw umber to that mixture that I've used just now. And a little bit of white. And that'll help us to see. That'll help us to see a bit of snow here and there. Now, of course, those trees in the background, it's not just a wall. At the bottom, you'll see little areas where you'll see some snow as it recedes into the bush. And I'm going uphill there quite a bit. Nah, that's okay. Not going to worry about it. Here, I'll raise this side a little bit. Okay. And let's just keep adding to the same pile. This time more cobalt blue. And more white. Whoops, that's way too much white. Way too much white. Okay. More raw umber. Even though it's snow, doesn't mean you paint everything white. Snow is something that picks up the ambient colors as well. It reflects and refracts. It does these things. It just does. But now we're kind of at a point where, yeah, I kind of have to think about where my light's coming from. Or I have to decide it's just going to be general soft tones. Being the coward that I am, I might just go with the general soft tones for the moment. And not show too much direct light anywhere. Don't forget, you know, we can have the entire painting painted in soft tones, and then towards the end we can make some decisions as to the direction of the light. Yes, they say first thing you decide is where's the light coming from. All right. Great advice for a beginner. Great advice on the whole. But I don't stick to that 100% of the time. I don't have to. And if we have a general ambience, then you maintain the look of a general ambience. You don't worry too much about which direction the light's coming from. Obviously it's coming from above. Ambience? Ambience? Is it ambience? Yeah, I guess it's the ambience. I'm coming down here a little bit because we've gone up, right? Opposing it slightly. Opposing shapes. Opposing shapes can balance each other out, but you don't have to oppose them. You can parallel them and they can balance each other out. It just depends on the situation and the context. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Still going to include a little bit of raw umber. We're going to take our foreground snow down a little bit in value. These dark lines may not be. They might be sticks, they might be anything. They might be giant earthworms surfacing because it's so cold and they want to freeze to death. They might end up being shadows. I don't know yet. Don't know, don't have to know. Okay. More alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue and raw umber. I don't really even have to cover in this stuff at the bottom, you know. The Payne's Gray is close enough, it's taking care of it. So, I'll just leave it at that. This brush is still in quite good shape. I don't want to fray the living daylights out of it before it's time. Okay, we'll give that brush a wipe. This one, garbage. Now, let's use a little bit of ultramarine blue and yellow ochre and white because I think I'd like to have this sort of be a poplar trunk. Oops, getting kind of clumsy there. That's actually very clumsy. stay darker, I think. I think this one back here, I'll put a little bit on there, but not much. Obviously, you don't just have a solid light all the way up and down the poplar, but we're going to worry about that when we paint it, not right now. And let me take I don't think I'm going to use that. I'm not going to have a bright red outhouse. You know, although an outhouse is probably a reasonably accurate representation of an emergency, I don't know that it needs to be red. So let me just find a little bit of burnt sienna here. Where are we? I know I've got some kicking around. Well, I've got several part tubes kicking around, but there's some tubes that are a little bit flat and a little bit dead, and I, believe it or not, that's what I want to start with. I want to use my stronger stuff later. My stronger stuff later when I'm painting it in. Okay, I found some. This will do. Sienna, and I'm going to kill it with just a little bit of ultramarine blue. Okay, that's all the same color-ish. That's not great. Let's add a little more ultramarine blue to it. Okay, something I do know is that I don't want this wall to have a pile of light on it. So obviously the light will be coming to some degree from the right. Okay, there's our first commitment to light direction. Okay, rough washing I think is done. I'll just bring the camera around square so you can see how everything's situated. Crunkle, crinkle, all right. Okay, there are our colors so far. I still don't know whether I'm going to brush it or knife it. Talk to you soon.